Jaguar either get it right or they get it very wrong. This is a perfect example of Jaguar getting it right. Some people may not be over impressed with the appearance of this car. I mean, it's by no means ugly, but what a beautiful car to drive. If there's any criticism at all that I would be able to find about this car, I will tell you straight away, and that is maybe it's possible that the steering is a little light. Maybe it's a little bit too light for the car. The steering is fantastically responsive and incredibly accurate, but I think it's a danger of being too light. I think there's too much power assisted, and because of this it doesn't make the steering feel anaesthetized, but it makes the steering feel like you're not driving it. It's nice to have some feel of a tug or kind of a reflex or a reaction from the steering. I might as well be turning fresh air with this steering wheel. That is how light it is. In fact, I can't think of another car that even comes close with the steering. Now, to some people that may appeal, but it's so light that as I'm driving down the road, I'm actually almost forgetting that I'm driving the car. I'm not too sure whether that's such a good idea or such a good thing. Now, back to the interior of the car. The instrument cluster, the speedo dial, rev counter, very easy to read, very easy to perceive the information. This is one of the best instrument clusters that I've come across, because some of them literally are clustered. You can't read them, or they're obstructed by the steering wheel. This one's fantastic. It's there, bang, you can read it. And they don't look like junk, they look like Swiss watches. The rest of the dashboard, the center sat-nav system and screen, the buttons here below are very easy to understand and decipher while you're driving. I love the wooden trim, and as for the gear knob, which is like a volume control, well, that is something else. It really does have an element of sophistication and luxury to it. Now, the electronic parking brake, well, I don't know, I'm not completely sold by those. I prefer the old school handbrake. They may not be, the old school ones may not be as nice looking on a car, but to be fair, I like the feeling of being in control with that handbrake. And although it's probably nearly impossible for brakes to fail on a modern car with the dual circuit braking, it'd be nice to know that I could actually control it with a handbrake if I needed to. If I had to shove this thing on by itself, I don't know what sort of reaction I would get. Also, if I'm on a hill and I was in a manual, I'd like to be able to use the handbrake, and I'm not too sure I could use it with the same liberty that an old school cable handbrake would offer. But this wooden trim here I think is lovely. Now, these center console metal pieces, very nice. They don't feel tacky really, feels like a bit of quality. There is only one element of this dashboard which I think is well, I think it's a bit unnecessary, to be fair, and that is the fact that these vents will fold up on themselves on ignition or when you turn the engine off. Now, it looks very impressive, but I think to myself, why on earth do they do that? Why is it necessary for the air vents to invert and fold up on themselves? The fact of the matter is, it's not. It's just there to impress you. And I think that at the end of the day is like a pimp wearing a white suit. It's unnecessary. Now, the wing mirrors on this car are very large. and they're at the perfect height. They're not too low. A lot of cars they are. The rear view vision, the back screen is actually very narrow, but you can see more or less what you need to, and the headrests are not too bad. They don't obstruct the view too much. The drive of this car is absolutely wonderful. In fact, I think it's better than many Mercedes that I've been driving recently. It's like, the only way I can describe the drive of this is it's like, if you can imagine being on an ice rink, an ice skate just freely sliding across the ice. That is what it's like. It's beautiful. It's serene. This car doesn't drive. This car doesn't roll down the road on its wheels. It's sliding down a glacier. It's absolutely fantastic. Wonderful car, wonderful car. But I must admit, the suspension is a little bit on the wobbly side. It's not a car I would like to chuck about in at speed. I wouldn't fancy swerving in and out of motorway lanes on this if I had to in an emergency. It's a big car and it's got too soft a suspension in my mind. As for the braking, well, the braking is like the same quality you'd find on maybe a BMW or a Mercedes. However, it is a little bit more grabby. The acceleration on this car is not breathtaking, but it does go. It's not a weak engine, but it's by no means a road rocket. That was in the normal drive setting. This is a cruising vehicle. This is a vehicle which you could quite easily drive from Land's End to John O'Groats with. It's so effortless in driving. There is absolutely no strain at all. In fact, this is probably one of the most pleasurable vehicles I have driven in many years. It's a driving experience, and it is just such an easy car to drive. It is absolutely wonderful. It is really exceptional, and this is one of the perfect examples of Jaguar getting it right, and getting it right with full scores, 10 out of 10. It's very difficult looking around this vehicle to find something to criticize about it without sounding you know, a little bit overcritical, to be fair. It's absolutely wonderful. The cornering is exceptional. The ride is just so smooth. It's like you're floating on air. It's that good. Really is. I must be able to find something wrong with this car. I'm trying my best, I really am. The seating position, beautiful. Nothing wrong with it at all. I feel like I'm sitting on a recliner. The actual general interior is pretty good, actually. I mean, it's stitched upholstery on the dashboard. You know, that's the sort of thing you only see in Mercedes MLs and other Mercedes models, maybe even top range sports cars. The only thing I can say about this car is it's so easy to drive that I kind of feel like I'm cheating myself. And I think if I owned one of these, I would have to have something else which was like a bare bones package, just to give me that that earthly, coarse, tiring sports car drive feel. Because this is just, it's just effortless. I think I could drive this not with a pinky. I could drive this with my tongue. It is that easy to drive. I'd need something more bare bones, like a beach buggy or something, or a TVR, something that requires a lot of force to drive and a lot of manual involvement. This is like Valium on wheels. It is absolutely awesome. If you're in a position to be thinking about buying one of these cars, I hope you get to see this video before you actually do, because you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you jump behind the wheels. Jaguar, I raise my hat to you. This is a fantastic vehicle. Keep it up, Jaguar.